So today was day 3. We visited another one of the centres sponsored by danceaid. When we arrived, we were greeted by some of the workers.
Hello everyone. My name is Annah, as Laura said. I'm a product manager here at Thembelihle. I'm with my staff. Some of them are here at the wall. Some of them are cooking at the kitchen. It was established in 1999. So we are caring for sick people in the community of Mangweni. Mangweni is a large community from Thembelihle to Joyce with different sections. And we are taking care of people that are having many diseases like TB, HIV and AIDS, and chronic diseases, cancer, etc. Also, we are given a support by the clinic. Also, we are working hand in hand with the clinic. And Department of Health as well is sponsored us just to make our work to be easy. And they are giving a stipend to caregivers just to keep them motivated. And also, we are caring for 176 orphans that are coming to the center each and every day from Monday to Friday. We give them food cooked meal each and after school. They come here, we give them cooked meal. Every month we give them food parcels. Sometimes we are facing many challenges, like the Department of Social Development. That is the one who giving us a sponsor for the kids. Sometimes our funds, they give us less funds because there are many people that are in need of help. And especially us, we are near the border of Mozambique and Swaziland. So we are overcrowded with many people that are having a huge poverty.
We then went into the hall and the doctors did like a big speech on like healthy eating, diabetes, and then they talked about like periods and things like that, which was interesting to see how things that are just kind of general knowledge to us were so alien. The amount of knowledge that the adults had within the section about the healthy foods. So when they were given examples, they were asked to give examples of things that you should eat more of, and they could give a lot of examples for that. But then when they were asked to give examples of things that you shouldn't eat as much of, they didn't have as many examples. And I think the one thing that particularly stood out to me was the lack of knowledge about like the menstrual cycle and pregnancies and things like that. And when they seemed so shocked about how dangerous it is to get pregnant so young, because of course here it's quite a common thing for young children to be going away and getting pregnant. So I think it was a bit of a shock to them to know that it's actually not safe. I also don't think they were actually aware, considering how typically big families are in Africa. I don't think they were actually aware of how easy it is to get pregnant like they were.
We don't focus on the children only. Even sometimes when we are in the community, we find someone who is helpless, doesn't have anything, and undocumented documents. So that is why we only give them the food parcel as well.
We then helped serve up dinner, which was fun. And then in the afternoon, we played with the kids. When we first arrived, it was just adults, so we thought that we weren't actually going to get any kids. They showed us some of their traditional dances, kind of. was important for me to see where danceaid's money actually went, because I think that with situations like the challenges that they face in Africa, we presume that it's just lack of nutrition. So I think, especially due to TV adverts and things like that, things that you see, you always presume that the problems are just there's not enough food and water. But there's so many other things that danceaid help towards, like, say for example today they finished a hall that we got to see, and in some of the other centres they've helped like towards education, like providing books, and today we brought the pencil cases, and the money spreads out into so many more different fields that you wouldn't even expect. You just presume that it would kind of be food and water and things like that.
We also have sponsors like danceaid who support us. danceaid has, I think, is now 4 to 5 years. So since then we have a good partnership with them. Many things that we have achieved with danceaid. Even our kitchen there, we were sponsored by danceaid. Our hall was unfinished, but danceaid has finished it. Our office materials like computers, printers, we have less, but danceaid have given us. Also our fence, we were having a wire fence. So now we do have a palisade fencing and food parcels as well, uniforms for children, and even us for caregivers, because sometimes the one that we have before, it's like the old one. So for now we do have our school, our organization uniform, many t-shirts, even this one, the one that is wearing with Thembelihle, and there was a lady here that were wearing a brown t-shirt, say sponsored by danceaid.
Seeing how happy the team were, considering they have nothing, was a really, really big eye-opener, and it's a thing that I think that a lot of people in the UK especially should see, that happiness can be built essentially from nothing. And I think we rely on having all these big opportunities and expensive things and perfect lifestyles to show happiness, when realistically they've proved that it's just making happiness out of what you have and who you're surrounded by. It's very hard to know that the kids have limited opportunities, especially because so many of them have such natural talent. Things that I know a lot of people say, for example, with things like singing and dancing, a lot of people would kill and train to be good at, but they are just so naturally talented. Particularly what we saw on the first day when the choir came out and they sang, and their voices, we said you could put them in Lion King or Dreamgirls tomorrow. But that's one of the things that I found quite hard, to know that these kids are so happy and they're so hardworking, but they just won't get an opportunity for it. And I think a lot of the problem with young kids nowadays, like I said, I'm just using the UK as an example because I live there, a lot of kids are very expected to have things handed on a plate just because we are so fortunate with the opportunities that we have. But here they will work and work, but there's only so much they can work towards because there isn't really any opportunities for them. We had a starter track from Acropad, which they loved. then gave them pencil cases and stuff. The difference between giving a pen to a child in England compared to giving a pen to a child in Africa is honestly unbelievable. Children in the UK, this of course isn't all children, but I think typically we would find that a lot of young children now would think that a pen is not very much, and they'd be like, oh, why are you giving this to me? Like, I don't understand what this is. But the second that car boot opened and we started pulling the pencil cases out, the children literally swarmed around the car and they were fighting over them. They were hiding them and pretending that they didn't get one to try and get another one, and just the value of something that is so undervalued in the UK was literally, I just couldn't believe it. And I think that if children in the UK were to see what that means to somebody else who doesn't have as much as them, I think it would be a really, really big eye-opener. I don't think anybody would expect that kind of reaction just because they're so used to being like, what is this? It's just a pen. I think a lot of us were unaware that the children didn't have identity cards, so they couldn't attend school. I think that's something that we've all learned from being here in Africa. Particularly orphans don't have identity cards, which they have to go to school. So obviously if they don't have those, they don't have a form of education. But danceaid have actually provided those children, particularly in these centres, that education that they are unable to get. And I just think that it's really sad, because it's almost as if a child loses their parents, that's kind of a trauma. So for them to not be able to go to school because of that, because they can't get the ID that they need, is really hard, because losing even just one parent is enough of a struggle. And as well, like I said before, they have so many talents and so many things that they could excel in, but they're not given the opportunities just simply because of the things that they've been through in life. And I think that's really, really difficult to comprehend.